$38 billion gone in a single signature. That's what Jeff Bezos handed MacKenzie Scott when the most expensive celebrity divorce in history was finalized. And I still cannot fully process that number. We're counting down the wildest, most eye-watering celebrity divorce settlements ever. And trust me, by the time we get to number 1, your jaw will be on the floor. Michael Jordan and Juanita Vanoy. Jordan's 2006 divorce from Vanoy ended a 17-year marriage and produced a reported settlement of $168 million. Here's the part nobody really talks about though. The Jordans had no prenuptial agreement when they married, but they signed a postnuptial agreement roughly 2 years later that laid the groundwork for how their fortune would ultimately be divided. A postnup, signed while the marriage was still going, and it still cost him $168 million. Vanoy also received the family's 25,000 square foot estate in Highland Park, the greatest basketball player alive, and he had to learn his most expensive lesson off the court. 5 entries up the list, Mel Gibson's divorce from Robin Moore makes Jordan's settlement look almost reasonable. Gibson walked away $425 million poorer after a divorce settlement finalized with his wife of 31 years, Robin Denise Moore. And here's the kicker, the Gibsons didn't have a prenuptial agreement, so Robin was legally entitled to half of everything he earned during the marriage, and Gibson must share his film residual income with his ex-wife for the rest of his life. Every single time Braveheart airs somewhere in the world, Robin Moore gets a check. That's not a settlement. That's a subscription. The couple separated shortly after Mel's infamous 2006 arrest for driving under the influence and an anti-Semitic rant that damaged his career. Robin stood by him publicly through the chaos that followed and then walked. 31 years, 7 kids, and 1 spectacular implosion. Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren, one of the messiest, most public unravelings in sports history. Tiger's reported settlement with Elin landed in the range of $100 million, and the circumstances behind it were impossible to ignore. The affairs, plural, documented, relentless, became a global news event. Elin reportedly negotiated a higher payout specifically because of the scale of the betrayal, and she walked away with enough to build a new life entirely on her own terms. The money was almost beside the point. The humiliation was the headline. Kevin Costner's split from Christine Baumgartner added a different flavor of drama to this list. Their divorce became a courtroom spectacle, with Baumgartner initially seeking over $248,000 per month in spousal support, a number Costner's legal team fought aggressively. The final settlement landed significantly lower, but the public back and forth was its own kind of theater. This wasn't just a couple dividing assets. It was 2 people airing grievances in real time, with cameras watching every filing. And Paul McCartney versus Heather Mills might be the most chaotic entry in the lower tier. Their marriage lasted 4 years. 4 years. The settlement reportedly came in around $48 million, but the courtroom behavior is what people actually remember. Mills famously poured a jug of water over McCartney's lawyer during proceedings. The judge's written ruling was so scathing about Mills's credibility that it was made public, which almost never happens in British family court. $48 million in a destroyed reputation. Not a great trade. Each of these settlements is staggering on its own. But every number I just gave you, every figure that made your eyes go wide is still comfortably in the lower half of this list. If those amounts already feel impossible, just wait. What's coming next makes all of them look like a parking ticket. Heather Mills pouring water on McCartney's lawyer, or Robin Moore collecting residual checks every time Braveheart airs. Which one is the most unhinged divorce detail you've heard so far? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the settlements we just covered are practically pocket change compared to what's coming next. Now that we've covered the lower tier entries that already had your eyes wide, we need to move up, because everything from Heather Mills to Kevin Costner is about to start looking quaint. Bill and Melinda Gates. 27 years, 3 kids, a foundation they built together that became one of the most powerful philanthropic forces on the planet. And then in May 2021, a joint statement on Twitter, and just like that, it was over. The official court filing showed no money judgment, no spousal support order, clean, Quiet, suspiciously tidy for a divorce involving a combined fortune that size. But here's what the court filing didn't show: the private separation agreement that was quietly being honored in the background, piece by piece over the following years. Tax filings eventually revealed that Bill made a nearly $7.88 billion transfer to Melinda's pivotal philanthropies foundation, and that was just one installment. The total commitment under their agreement came to $12.5 billion, earmarked specifically for Melinda's charitable work, and a spokesperson for Pivotal confirmed the full agreement has since been fulfilled. Meanwhile, Melinda had already told the world exactly why she walked. She said to have trust in a marriage, both partners have to be honest with one another, and if you can't have intimacy and you can't have trust. So in the end, I had to go. That's not a statement about money, that's a verdict. And the dollar figure attached to it is staggering enough on its own, but it still isn't number one. Before I tell you the number one settlement, I need you to actually brace yourself, because I've read it 100 times and it still doesn't fully compute. Set everything else aside. Forget the $168 million, forget the $425 million, even forget Bill and Melinda. None of it prepares you for this. $38 billion. That's what MacKenzie Scott walked away with when her divorce from Jeff Bezos was finalized in July 2019. Not cash, 4% of Amazon's outstanding stock transferred directly into her name. At the time of transfer, those shares were worth approximately $38 billion, making it the largest officially recorded divorce settlement in history. And the thing is, there was no courtroom war, no water poured on anyone's lawyer, no public meltdown. Bezos and Scott announced the split in a joint social media post, and the whole thing was handled with a dignity that felt almost surreal given the scale of what was being divided. They had been married for 25 years. She had been there from the very beginning, helping draft the original Amazon business plan, supporting Bezos through the years when the company was a garage operation and nobody knew if it would survive. Amazon was founded 1 year into their marriage, which meant every dollar the company ever generated qualified as marital property under Washington state law. She wasn't just a spouse. She was there at the origin. And then what did she do with $38 billion? She started giving it away. Immediately. Within months of the divorce being finalized, she signed the giving pledge and committed to donating the majority of her fortune within her lifetime. She has since donated over $19 billion to more than 2,300 nonprofits. Quietly, without press releases, without naming rights, without the fanfare that usually follows that kind of generosity. She gave billions away and her net worth barely moved because the Amazon stock kept appreciating underneath her. The settlement didn't just end a marriage. It redirected tens of billions of dollars toward causes the original ownership structure would never have reached. Every entry on this list, every betrayal, every courtroom spectacle, every residual check Robin Moore collects when Braveheart airs, is ultimately the same story wearing a different price tag. Behind every eye-watering number is a human fracture that the money can't fix and can't fully explain. The most expensive divorce in history wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the redistribution of more wealth than most countries will ever see in a decade. Subscribe for more stories like these and watch the next video. It goes even deeper.